Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you can... you'll probably hear me in a second. Hello. Mic check. I'm really loath to interrupt you guys' conversations because I think it's amazing that you're making friends so quickly. But as these last friends start to join us here and now finding their seat, we might just make a start. So, if I could have everyone's attention. I don't have a light switch to turn on and off, so I will just need everybody to... We're getting there. I can hear it getting quieter. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of time to party after this. Can everybody hear me, even up in the back? How about you guys up in the back right over there? Can you guys hear me? Yeah? I got a wave? Beautiful. Wonderful. And you guys back there, you can hear me as well? The speakers are everywhere. It's kind of a trick just to get you to quiet down. My name is David House. I'm here at UNSW in the position of Manager of Study Abroad. And good afternoon and welcome. And thank you so much for joining us both in person and online, because some of you are online on the live stream. We have close to 600 study abroad and exchange students joining us starting in summer term, which is incredible. Right back to what it was before the world turned upside down. So I hope you guys are excited to be a part of such a huge cohort back in Australia. I want to start with a land acknowledgement. UNSW is located on the unceded territory of the Bedegal, Gadigal, and Ngunnawal peoples, who are the traditional owners of the land where each of our campuses at UNSW are situated. I want to show my respect and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this meeting takes place, and to elders past and present, and also to the traditional custodians of the lands on which those who are attending this orientation remotely are residing today as well. So yeah, thanks so much for coming to the orientation. We're going to go through these main topics throughout the afternoon today. We're going to start with academic expectations, and I'm going to throw to one of my colleagues for support services, who will in turn, that's Shane, and then he'll throw to James for some talk about health and well-being, and then Emily is going to join us from the exchange team for staying safe, and finally Pip is going to close the show with some fabulous and fun stuff on Australian culture and beach safety, before a member of our Students Association, Student Union, Clubs and Societies, ARC at UNSW, named Steph, who's going to give you guys a rundown of that as well, and how you guys can get really connected and integrated into the UNSW community. Before we jump right in, I just want to make sure everybody has the best contact details for each of our offices. It's okay if you don't know whether you are a study abroad or exchange student. If you find the numbers 6001 next to your name on a whole bunch of correspondence from us, then you're study abroad. If you're exchange, it'll say 6021. And just to let you know, we're also going to have drop-in advising times at the student nucleus, which is in the library building, just over yonder, every day starting tomorrow until Tuesday next week. Not on the weekend, but every business day. This is the nucleus. It's located in the base of the main library building. There's typically about 30 plus staff working there every day, though a little bit less this time of year, I suppose, but far fewer students. It's basically just bespoke service for you guys these days. And they help all students across the university with issues like enrollment, waitlisting, forms that need to be signed, and we also have a live Teams channel with them. So, we will always help you as much as we can, but there's only like 6 of us. So we can't always deal with the volume on an in-person capacity that you guys need, but they have a direct communication to us if they have to escalate and inquire. That's a little bit more serious. It's also where you're going to be picking up your student ID card after making an appointment. And I want to apologize that we only found out today after returning from the holiday shutdown. There was a bit of a booking glitch going on in the background. That has all been fixed. So if you were having trouble finding an appointment time to book your Student ID card pickup, that has been resolved. Just make sure you book it and have your passport with you when you arrive. Not a photocopy, your actual passport, so they can confirm it and get you your ID card. The sooner the better, because right now you guys, as I said, have basically a captive audience of service staff around the uni. But as term 1 approaches, obviously everybody and their dog is going to be here looking for all that stuff as well. So the earlier the better you guys are going to do that. UNSW's campus never sleeps. Takes a bit of a nap in the summertime right now when everybody spends most of the time at the beach. But make sure, we will invite you again, that you come back for term 1 OAT week. That is like the busiest week on campus of the entire year. It starts on the 5th of February. There's some really incredible events like the Welcome to Country and fire ceremonies, and also just thousands of stalls from every club under the sun will be open all up and down the main drag, so you can meet lots and lots of people. This is just sort of to situate the campus in Sydney generally, a map where we're located here in Kensington. Paddington campus, you can see, is just sort of center north on that one. And pretty close to the beach. I can already see some of you came from the beach, which is just so awesome to see that you're Australian culture already. Some of the services and facilities on campus we have on this slide. Always buzzing, more than 60,000 students from over 120 countries. Just a quick note on one of the things here is the Aquatic Center is a paid membership, but it's like an Olympic quality pool. There's lots of Olympic swimmers that take advantage of those facilities here at UNSW as well. But full groceries, banking. I don't know why Wi-Fi is still on the slide in the year of our Lord 2023, or 2024, but there it is. And let's just jump into academic expectations. So you have 2 main kinds of classes during your time here. There's lectures. They will be in rooms like this, filled with about as many people or more as you see around you today. And that's to be compared to tutorials, labs, seminars, which will be smaller. It'll be a lot more focused on group work and lots of participation components in those spaces. You've got to attend 80% of your classes as a requirement to pass courses here at UNSW. If you do miss classes, you'll need to have a medical certificate excusing the absence or some other supporting documentation. There are 3 main delivery modes. There's fully in-person, fully online, and then also multimodal, which is a combination of both. You can only take 1 fully online course per term, and this that will count if you take a multimodal course and then only choose the online components in that class. So make sure you do have at least 1 in-person component in your multimodal classes if it's not your fully online course. And some of your home institutions have additional rules about the modes of classes you're allowed to take, so make sure you check with them before you even take 1 fully online class, because some of them will not recognize credit for fully online courses when you get home, all right? Enrollment and class times. You got to take 1 class in this summer term now. You cannot drop that class, and you need to be enrolled in 3 courses in term 1. That's most of you who are joining us for the tailored term. You can see here that summer term course approval deadline has passed, but we will continue to add permissions, new permissions that come through for you into the MyUNSW system until Friday this week, as long as we have capacity and bandwidth. We want you to work to the deadline we gave you, and that's why we did it. But if you desperately need to make a change, you make a bunch of friends on arrival, you want to be in the same class and there's room, we will continue to try to make that available to you until the end of this week. The enrollment deadline for summer term is Sunday, and then you can see the deadlines for your term 1 stuff as well on there. So MyUNSW is sort of the one-stop shop student portal for all of your learning services to do with your studies at UNSW. Some of the platforms that you'll find on there are your email, Moodle, which is the learning management system where you might find quizzes. You'll definitely find the course outline that we're going to talk a lot about today, which is sort of UNSW's promise about what's going to be in your course. Lecture recordings, Echo, will be on there as well. It's a big accessibility project here at UNSW. It's student-driven, where they record a lot of not just lectures, but a lot of tutorials as well to make sure they're available for students who can't attend due to some form of special need. And then also Microsoft Teams you can access from MyUNSW as well. Make a good start. It's easy to get too excited and have too much fun at the beginning and cost yourself. It shouldn't be hard for you guys to stay up on top of your studies while also having an incredible time. But really important, when you get that course outline in week 1 on your Moodle site, check what the dates are, when are things due, what are the readings each week, what exams and assessment types do they have, because those can be subject to change if you were looking at a handbook entry before your arrival. As I said, that course outline is the promise of what is definitely going to be in your course throughout the term. Textbooks, I would check with your teachers, like go to your first class before you spend $1,000 Australian dollars on textbooks. Sometimes you will need them, sometimes they will be providing all of the excerpts for them. Sometimes they're huge amount of them are available at the library. You can get a lot of them online used. Yeah, so just, I wouldn't go and fork out all that money on textbooks until you know that you're definitely going to need them. All right, main library, as I said, is where the nucleus is, where you're going to get your student ID card. Your student ID card is your library card. You just use your Z Pass that you've been using forever and need to log into the library to get into computers and resources. There's also a law library down campus on the sort of Anzac Parade side. And anytime you can just, borrow a book through the online system and they'll deliver it to whichever library is convenient for you to pick up on a given day. You can manage all of your loans in the My Library function, which means you can extend it so long as somebody else doesn't have a hold on it, except for those in the high-use collection, which will mean, you borrow it, but only for like an hour or 6 hours at a time, where you're using it in the library rather than taking it out with you. All right, assessment. It may be different here than it is at your home institutions. You must attempt all required assessments, or you risk sort of getting grades like absent fail. And there's assessment throughout the whole term. So a lot of your home institutions will have just one big exam at the end. There are no rewrites on exams except for special consideration and circumstances beyond your control that are compassionate and compelling. So there's not like a roundup or a conceded pass or a retake on those, which just may be very different. Make sure you read your course outline to understand how the assessment's going to work in your classes. Special consideration. Those are sort of those compassionate and compelling circumstances that I was talking about before. This will be distinguished from equitable learning services, which Shane's going to talk about in a little bit. Special consideration is for something unexpected and out of your control that diminished your ability to demonstrate your learning on a particular assessment. It's not for circumstances where you have an ongoing condition which always affects you, and you need adjustments to, sort of as a matter of course, to consistently demonstrate your learning. One example I like to illustrate with is I have a really miserable back. And through a lot of my university studies, writing sort of 3-hour exams hunched over a table in law school, I thought I needed special consideration a lot, and so I was applying for it all the time. And it wasn't until sort of my 3rd year where someone smart at the university said, "Hey, David, maybe you should check out equitable learning services, and they can have adjustments where you can write your exam standing up, or we can even get you a computer to make sure that you're not hurting yourself constantly doing your subjects." So just, I think that's a good illustration of the difference, like getting the flu, can't show up for a test one day versus, I have an ongoing situation and I need sort of ongoing and tailored help, and I want to work with the university and my doctor to make sure that I have that support. There is a fit to sit or fit to submit rule at UNSW. I think it's being abolished, but I don't want to promise that in this meeting and have you guys all rely on that and to your detriment. But the general idea of it, if it still is in place for this term, it doesn't quite get struck off the roll for this period. If you are sick, don't try and not succeed in demonstrating your learning. If you're too sick to do well on the test or do as well as you expect to be able to, then don't try and just do like 60% of good. Instead, apply for the special consideration and get the adjustment or the alternate assessment that you need for it, all right? Because by sitting or by submitting the paper, the general idea is you've put your hand up and said, I was well enough. I could get this done, and so I did submit it. So if you're having trouble, engage with the processes that are built for you rather than, ending up with like a 55 and being like, oh, I could have done so much better, all right? Exams, the summer timetable is up on the slide you can see. I don't know why they do it, but they do. They release a provisional timetable for exam periods. Do not rely on the provisional timetable and book a trip to Bali and then come to us and say, oh, but David, it said on the provisional timetable that I could leave and go party in a plunge pool. It'll probably be okay most of the time, but that will not be considered a reasonable excuse for not being able to attend an exam. So stick around, make sure you get your final exam timetable, make sure you slot enough time for you to study and do well, and then go hit the beach afterwards, all right? Got to talk about this one. It won't apply to any of you guys, I'm sure, but the general rule is don't engage in academic misconduct, including but not limited to exam cheating, contract cheating, essay mills, document falsification, etc. When in doubt, just get help. There's lots of study services and support services around to give you assistance. Generative AI, really new. It will be totally fine for you to use in some assessment tasks in some courses, and that'll be up to you to have a conversation with your teacher. In general, hiding or failing to disclose, just like when you fail to disclose a source that you used, it's that act of appearing to be hiding it from someone that is the bigger deal than the use of tools where you're still actively demonstrating your learning. UNSW is really ahead on this. I worked in this area of the university for sort of the better part of a decade. One of the leaders around the world at detecting contract cheating and exam cheating through really, really detailed AI processes. So just don't, I know you won't, but don't. It's such a pain. We have to tell your home institution. Everybody cries. No fun. You can see this full student code of conduct published on the policy register website. As all UNSW policies are there in sort of really, really dense legalese, so I don't recommend it for an afternoon of light reading, but if you do want to get into all of your responsibilities under the student code, you can. And UNSW's responsibilities to you to make sure that you're getting a full learning experience. Really short summary of transcripts and grades up there. It is ultimately up to your home institution how your grades are going to be transferred back. This is a question we get a lot from lots of students from many places around the world. Australia does grade in a different way. It does grade in a very difficult, high standard, and it's meant to be a better way of using assessment to teach. Right? If everybody's getting a 90 all the time, then there's not enough room to show them the areas for improvement and how they can do better and really expand their learning. If you get a 65 in Australia, that is a good mark. That's like, if I was back home in Canada, that's like getting a BB+. Anywhere from sort of 65 to low 70s. We do have a useful graph on the UNSW website. I haven't put it on the slide because it's, we would spend 20 minutes trying to decipher what it means. But in your spare time, it's a tool that may help you if you have a particular lecturer back home. When you end up getting to your credit recognition piece, in sort of saying, oh, but I got a 76. That's like distinction in Australia. Can't you give me the mark that I deserve? But just like other schools can't tell UNSW how to grade, I can't call your home institution and say, actually, you should be giving Joe or Jane a higher mark, right? So you guys are all excellent self-advocates, I know, and that's what I'll leave you with there. At the end of your studies, we're going to set you up with a MyEquals account. It's an online repository, mostly for Australia and New Zealand students who've taken part of it, where from there you can just ask the system to send an authentic copy of your transcript directly to an email address. So rather than you having to get copies from us, forever and ever in the future, if you ever need them for an application for a new degree or want to pass the bar in some place in the States, you'll be able to just do that directly from the MyEquals system. And we will, of course, send you much more information about that as you're winding up your studies. All right, progression. The standard at UNSW is you must pass greater than 50% of your classes. So please do that. And if you're having trouble, please reach out to academic support services. If you are staying for many, many terms, we don't really do it for the summer term because there's only one course. So it's hard to evaluate greater than 50% if it's not 100% on one. But if you are staying past term one and you are unsuccessful in 2 of your classes, very rare, then we will probably reach out to you between terms, like before term 2 or before term 3, if you're sticking around, to make sure that you're connected with academic services. All right. Sorry for all that really, really dry stuff, guys. There's more exciting stuff to come, but I had to take that bullet. I'm going to throw to Shane now, Shane Smith, one of our program officers in Study Abroad, and he's going to talk about support services. Thanks so much.
All right, I'm just going to start with a quick video and then we can talk a bit about that.
Hey there, welcome to UNSW. My name's Laura Montague and I'm the chair of your student organisation ARC, and I'm so delighted to welcome you to UNSW. UNSW is a place where you can learn, grow, discover and thrive, and there are so many amazing services to help you do just that.
The Nucleus is the home of student services, here to guide you from enrolment to graduation. Drop in online or in person if you have any questions around working through your degree, your student record, fees, ID cards or documentation. We'll be able to help or point you in the right direction.
The student support advisors are here to help students navigate the pressures and stresses of life, including university life. The team takes a personalized approach, assisting students steer through a wide range of matters, such as financial hardship or accommodation issues. And with general information regarding student visas, relationship difficulties, as well as personal and health-related concerns. Sections with student support advisors are free and confidential, and students can receive support in person or virtually. For more information or to book an appointment, just search UNSW Support Advisors.
Academic skills can help students with any aspect of their academic work, including planning and writing assignments, reading and note-taking, presentations, critical thinking, and many others. This service is available to all students at any point of their degree. The academic skills team meets with students by individual consultations, workshops, or in general education and faculty courses. They also provide heaps of study skills and resources online on the Academic Skills website.
Equitable Learning Service is a confidential service that supports students living with disabilities, medical or mental health conditions, or anyone with care responsibilities. The role of ELS is to ensure that you are provided with appropriate flexibility and educational supports throughout your university studies. The service is free and confidential, and there is no need to tell your faculty what your health condition is. The team at Equitable Learning Services will work with you on a personalised equitable learning plan with specific educational adjustments.
Mental ill health is common. No matter what your concern, UNSW is committed to supporting students who experience any form of mental health distress. Support is available through Mental Health Connect, whether you're in Australia or studying overseas. Mental Health Connect will assess your needs and assist you to access the most appropriate counsellor, psychologist, advisor, or doctor. If you need support after hours, there's also an after hours line you can call. Head to Mental Health Connect website for more information.
UNSW Employability can help you to build your personal and professional identity, to discover, launch and grow your future career. There are career coaches available for online appointments to assist you in navigating your employability journey at UNSW and beyond. For more information, go to employability.unsw.edu.au.
ARC is your official student organisation. We look after everything outside the classroom, from an epic O-Week to over 300 clubs, sustainability programs and creative opportunities, student wellness and sports on campus, and so much more. The gist is, we want you to experience everything. Your first step to an incredible experience at UNSW is to join ARC today.
So there you have it. There are heaps of ways that you can access opportunities and support at UNSW. See you on campus.
So hi everyone, my name is Shane. I work in the Study Abroad team and I'm just here to talk to pretty much just go through what we saw in the video just now. But just to reiterate, I'm just there to let you know all the different resources that you can go to for support if you need it while you're here. One of the first best point of call for support in your classes is just to go to your tutor or lecturer and discuss the issue that might be affecting you in the course. They might refer you on to the course coordinator, and there are also student support advisors that you can make appointments with, and they can help you, guide you in the right direction to find resources as well. If you're not sure, the Nucleus Student Hub is always the best point of call at the university, because you can go in there and they can straight away just point you in the right direction of where you need to go. And if you haven't found the help you need from there, as David mentioned, they can either escalate things to us, or you can contact us using those email addresses from earlier. But yeah, as David mentioned as well, it can be a little bit difficult adjusting sometimes to what studying in Australia. It might be very different to what you're used to at your home universities. So if you find that you're starting to struggle in the first few weeks when you're doing your classes, there are some academic skills modules and workshops and resources available online for you to go and have a look at. And you can also have those individual booking times as well. So that's for anything if you're struggling with the style of academic writing, if you're struggling with kind of academic integrity, these are the resources of where you should kind of go and have a look at to start. Equitable Learning Services is the support service that we mentioned that you should be registering with now if you know that you need assistance during your time. So this is for any assistance during your classworks, getting alternative assessments, using technology to help you finish your assessment tasks, exam adjustments, someone to take notes for you. So you may already be registered for these services at your home university, but you will need to apply separately to UNSW and register with us. And as they mentioned, it's all confidential. It is all just tailored for you and your individual needs. Also, if English isn't your first language, there is, between the 29th of Jan and the 2nd of Feb, there's a free language program on campus to help you kind of build skills and to succeed here at UNSW. I personally think it's a really good way to just meet other people and kind of have a social way of, chatting in English and kind of improving those skills. But it is delivered by expert teachers, and it's really just kind of like a fun week with online and in-person sessions. So if you are looking to improve your English while you're here in Australia, you've all made it here so far, but this is just to help you get to the next level. And I'm sure a lot of you have been arriving over the last week or two. Many of you probably already have accommodation, but if you are still struggling to find accommodation, the best point of call at this stage would be to contact the off-campus accommodation support, ocas@unsw.edu.au. They're really quick and responsive. They will help you find kind of these private rentals and short-term stays around UNSW. And this, especially at this time of year, it is very busy in Sydney, as you might have noticed at the moment. Lots of tourists here as well, lots of other people trying to find accommodation in Sydney. These guys have really good connections with the local accommodation providers, and it changes every day. So I would just encourage you to get in touch with them, put your name on the mailing list if you're still looking for accommodation, and just work one-on-one with them. I'm going to move on now, and I'll hand over to my colleague James to talk about health and wellbeing. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone, and once again welcome to UNSW and welcome to Sydney more widely. As Shane mentioned, I will be kind of building on a little bit of what Shane just was talking about in terms of support, but with a bit more of a focus on health and well-being. Now, of course, studying abroad, it feels like a really exciting, really you're on top of the world at the moment, you've just arrived, new country, new people, and hopefully, it'll stay that way, but it's not always the case, so it's important to know that there are some support mechanisms around you should you need them. Okay, so with that in mind, we will start off with a video that will present a bit of a summary of those support mechanisms that are around campus as well, very accessible for you guys, and then we'll chat through them and look at them in a little more detail.
The UNSW Health Service is a comprehensive health service that's available to all students and staff at the university. Our team of highly experienced GPs have a diverse range of skills and knowledge. We can treat everything from general health issues and sports injuries to heart problems. We can also conduct men's and women's health checks and provide vaccinations for health and travel. Making an appointment with us is easy. You can book a time via our online booking system through the UNSW Health Service website or through the Appoint You At app, which you can download on your phone. You can also come in and speak to our staff in person. All appointments with us are completely confidential, and the health service does not link or share your personal records with the university. For domestic students who hold a Medicare card or international students with a Medibank OSHC card or AHM card, there is no cost to see a GP. A small fee may be charged for some vaccinations and dressings if needed. If you are an international student with other health insurance funds, you may need to pay upfront and be reimbursed later by your health insurer. On the day of your appointment, you can find us on the ground floor of the Quadrangle at the Kensington campus. Please check in with reception and present your UNSW ID card and a Medicare or health insurance card. Appointments will usually take between 15 to 20 minutes, and the GP can treat most inquiries at the health service. If your GP feels you need further treatment or a specialist, they will write a referral letter for you and tell you where you can get additional help. Uni life can be fun and rewarding, but sometimes it can be stressful if you're sick or worried. So remember, if you have any concerns about your health or well-being, come in and see our friendly staff.
So as mentioned, much of what we're going to go through is pretty much kind of repeating what we just saw in the little video there. So we'll go through it again, just in case you missed it, just in case you need to take any sort of further note on that. We will talk briefly about COVID-19 as well. So you might be surprised to see COVID-19 up on the screen there. Given that the time, it's almost unimaginable now for many of us in this room to think back to COVID-19. And the fact that you guys are sat in front of me here today is kind of evidence that that feels like it's over to some extent. Everything's opened up, the countries are open, you can travel. But in actual fact, that's not the case for everyone. There are many people out there where COVID is still a big deal. There's a rise in cases currently. It's not published as much, but it is there and it still exists. So it's always important just to be cognizant of that and to bear that in mind as well. And I think the most important takeaway from this, at least, in my opinion, would be just be open and be understanding to other people's needs as well as your own, and to other people's views and how they want to handle themselves in certain situations. So there's some further advice up on the screen there. Again, most of that is now sort of optional, so take of it what you want, but again, I do think it's important just to be aware of that. So the video went through the UNSW Health Service in quite a lot of detail. As we mentioned, we have a team of highly experienced doctors and specialists who are there for pretty much anything that you need. It is on campus, so it's super convenient and it's super easy to get in there. You can make telehealth or face-to-face appointments. You can do so online, or you can call the number up on the screen there as well. So it's super easy to get an appointment should you need to. Worth noting, if you do have COVID-19 symptoms, it's probably not the best idea to go in there, so do give them a call first and just kind of see what the go would be there. Normally they would kind of arrange a test prior to you going in. So yeah, Please don't just rock up with your symptoms. Opening hours, again, are up on the screen there. They are Monday to Thursdays, 8 to 6, and Friday, 8 to 5, and closed on Saturdays and Sundays. So please don't get sick on the weekend. But if you do, and please try not to, but if you do, it's totally fine. There are some other options on there for you. So probably the most important one in an emergency, that number is 000. When I arrived in Australia, that took me a long time to learn. Ingrained in my head was the UK version. Luckily, I've never needed it, but, playing out any scenario, I always think, what would I do? And 999 always pops into my head, 000. Please try to remember. Hopefully you don't need it, but if you do, that's what it is. Campus security on there as well. If you ever feel that you're under threat or if you need any extra support or anything like that, that's a really good number to bear in mind as well. They are 24/7, so if you do need them, they're just a phone call away. They can be very helpful as well. There is a hospital just next to UNSW on the Coogee side. I don't actually know my surroundings, I think it's that way. And there's also an after-hours doctor that you can call on the screen there as well, should you need to. And we have the UNSW Psychology and Wellness as well, and this provides a confidential counselling service to all of our students who are enrolled at UNSW. They are open Monday to Friday as well, and they can help with providing a broad range of services relating to a number of different issues. Some of the things they can do is individual counselling, motivational support, anxiety and mood management, psychological services, stress management, and an array of other things as well. The address for them is up on the screen, as is the contact information, so please do take note of that if you think that could be useful for you. And this won't apply to everyone, but for those of you who do have Medibank, there is the Overseas Healthcare mobile app as well. So you can basically manage your overseas health cover in your hands, as it says here, which is lovely. A digital membership card, and you can kind of use this on the go. You can use this when you go to the doctors. You can just show your card, and registration on the app is super easy there, and it's much more straightforward than kind of going on your browser every time and trying to log in and all that kind of thing. So this is highly recommended if you are using Medibank, and of course this is accepted for the bulk billing on the on-campus UNSW health services. And we also have the 24/7 student health and support service line on the screen there. So if you need any help in an emergency, once again, and you find the doctor's closed, you got sick on a weekend, like we told you not to, the number's there if you do need it. And you can get medical assistance from a registered nurse, counselling services, emergency legal advice, travel documentation assistance, and a number of other different things there as well. That are can be tailored to your specific situation as a study abroad or exchange student. And finally, we do have a Medibank little office on campus, which is way down there in lower campus. It feels like a long way. It's actually only 5 minutes, but there's a lot of steps. So you can call in there if you do need any support. They're open Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 3 p.m. So that's all from me. I know that was quite dry, I do apologise, and hopefully you won't need any of that and you'll have a wonderful experience, but if you do, it is there for you. I'm now going to pass over to Emily, who's going to talk about staying safe here in Australia.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'm Program Officer of Exchange, and I manage the regions of the US, Canada and Latin America, so you may recognise my name if we have emailed back and forth. I'm the first point of contact if you're from that region. So I'm going to discuss staying safe. So Sydney is a safe city compared to many places around the world, but it is a large city with over 5 million people. So we advise to take normal precautions for a large city. Obey all warning signs, don't leave bags unattended, don't walk alone at night, travel in numbers when leaving locations, make sure to keep your passport in a safe and secure place, only carry what you need, don't carry large amounts of cash with you, and if confronted in a dangerous situation, comply with demands. Do not try to be a hero or retaliate. Crossing the road, an important one. In Australia, cars drive on the left side of the street. Please watch out for the light rail. You may have seen it when you were crossing the road behind this building. And just pay attention, especially in the first few days if you've just arrived and you're experiencing jet lag, you may be tired. Look both ways when you cross the street. Staying healthy, so sun protection is a big one being here in Australia. There are 5 ways to protect yourself from the sun. Wear a hat, wear sunglasses, long sleeve clothing, and high factor sun cream, so minimum of SPF 30+, and stay in the shade where you can. Make sure to buy Australian sunscreen. Sunscreen from overseas just doesn't cut it here. The sun is different in Australia. Please drink plenty of water. Sun is the strongest between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. in the summertime. And please be aware of sunburn and heat stroke. Make sure to find that shade when you need it. Staying healthy. So while you're on exchange, it is an exciting time, but it is important to take care of yourself while you're here. So aim for a healthy balance of work, play, and rest. Try to keep stress at a minimum, plan out your study time, and as mentioned by my colleagues earlier, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. UNSW is a smoke-free campus. If you choose to drink, control yourself. Don't drink until you are sick, and don't get into fights. The drinking age is 18, which may be different than your home country, so make sure you stay within your limit. If you choose to drink, drink responsibly. Be aware of drink spiking. Don't accept drinks from strangers, and if you leave your drink unattended, don't come back and drink from the same glass. And keep watch for your friends as well. A DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol in Australia, is a criminal offence. Recreational drugs may be readily available, but they are illegal. If you choose to participate in an illegal activity, you must be prepared to deal with the consequences. Convictions for any illegal activity may be considered by the Australian government when deciding to approve or reject your future visa applications. So please take that into consideration. Safe sex and consent. So all genders are equally responsible for risk prevention. Consent, it matters each and every time. It's when a person freely and voluntarily agrees to behaviour, understanding what they are doing and who they are doing it with. This includes situations in everyday life and when it comes to sexual activity. Nobody feels forced or pressured to do anything. Everybody is conscious and clear-minded. And you must actively seek and affirm enthusiastic consent through words or actions, as consent cannot be assumed from silence or inactivity. So help is available if you or someone you know is affected by gendered violence, including sexual misconduct. There are many services and people who can help you. UNSW is committed to creating a safe and respectful environment for everybody, whether you have been directly affected, or a witness to an incident, or a support person. You may choose to make a report through the UNSW Gendered Violence portal, and reports can be made anonymously. So there are some support services listed there on the slide, so please make note of them in case you may need them at some point in the future. We are committed to the safety of all students, staff and visitors to our campuses, so we do have 24-hour security presence on campus. There are help points scattered around the campus, which are two-way radios to help ensure your safety. They provide a direct link to the Security Services Control Room. We also have a free UNSW security night bus service between 6:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, and stops are located both on and off campus, at car parks, colleges and libraries close to public transport. You can also request a safety escort by calling security. There is also the Stay Safe at UNSW app or through the help point as well. And speaking of security, their phone numbers there are on the slide for any general inquiries, and then for emergencies there's a different phone number there. As James mentioned earlier, our emergency line for off-campus emergencies is to dial 000. If it is an emergency on campus, please call the emergency line for UNSW security first, as they are the ones who can coordinate with emergency services and direct them to where to access the campus. And the Stay Safe at UNSW app, we recommend that you download this for direct access to those emergency contacts on your phone, to request a security escort for the night security bus, or for any security tips. Now we're going to talk about getting around. So if you are taking any courses for art and design, that will be at the Paddington campus. So there is a free shuttle bus between Kensington campus, where we are now, and the Paddington campus during the term. The Kensington stop is just inside Gate 8 on High Street, which is just behind us. The art and design stop is in front of the Greens Road entrance gates. So please allow time if you are taking courses across both campuses for commuting. Public transport. So our main campus and the Paddington campus are both located in the eastern suburbs and are easily accessible by public transport for buses and also the light rail. You can plan your trip at the Transport UNSW, newsouthwales.info website. And light rail stops are at this campus or at the top and bottom of campus, so one right behind us and one down there on Anzac Parade. If you are travelling by public transport, you will need an Opal travel card, which can be used on all public transport across New South Wales. Exchange and study abroad students are not eligible for the transport concession discount and will need to pay the adult fare. You do need to tap on before you get on public transport, and also tap off to ensure that you are charged the correct fare. And that's it for me. I'm now going to pass over to my colleague Pip, who will talk about Australian culture. Thank you.
Alrighty. Hi everybody, my name's Philippa, or Pip. I am the exchange advisor for Asia and the UK. So again, put faces to names. I might be speaking to you if you're from those regions. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a few different things about Australian culture, but I'll start off with culture shock. Obviously, some of you guys have been here maybe a couple of weeks, finding accommodation. Some of you might have just arrived today, but a lot of you will experience culture shock in one form or another, or maybe you just have a fantastic time the whole way through. That's what we're hoping. But obviously, it's something to consider. What is culture shock? Factors that contribute, and all the different things we're going to talk about quickly. So leaving home and traveling to study in a new country can be a stressful experience, even though it's something that you guys have obviously planned and prepared to do. There's probably been several months of preparation for you to be here today. Many people are actually quite surprised when they experience culture shock, and it can be helpful to normalize the experience and realize that a lot of people are feeling the symptoms that you are feeling too. So obviously there are students here from all across the globe. Some of you, your first language is English, but for others it's not. So listening and speaking in a new language can be really tiring. People can sometimes speak quickly. Case in point, Australians can normally speak quite quickly, and you may feel embarrassed to ask them to repeat what they have said. If English is not your first language, you may also find that you miss your home language, so it's always important to think about that and maybe find some friends that speak in your language as well if you're feeling down about the difficulties of having to think in another language and speak in English. So just think about all the symptoms that you may experience, like homesickness, social withdrawal, lack of motivation, frustration with unfamiliar things, stress. You might have a really stressful timetable this trimester, and you might just feel a little sad sometimes, which is totally normal. So we do highly recommend that you speak to people. Speak to your friends, speak to your family, communicate, build a community around you whilst you're here. Make sure that you're proactive and initiate conversations with others, because that can just help so much. Be prepared for the ups and downs that you have, whether it be a half-year exchange, a year-long exchange. Keep in mind that it's a process that everybody goes through. So this is just a little bit of a super quick image for culture shock. It's a roller coaster. You can have ups and downs in normal life, but these are just potentially slightly heightened whilst you're here, so just keep that in mind. So we'll go on to a little bit about Australian culture. As you may have heard from my colleagues, we're a mixture again of global people who've lived all across the world. I'm one of the born and bred Australians here, having grown up in Sydney myself, gone to university in Melbourne, gone on exchange to Glasgow, done a postgraduate in London, so we're a pretty global team. So I will talk about Australia now a little bit and give you a bit of an introduction if you haven't already done some research. So these are all the different maps and also flags that you might see whilst you're here in Australia. So we'll start with the top two. The far left is the traditional Indigenous Australian map, which shows all of the individual nations of the land before white settlers colonised Australia. And the one that you can see in orange are all of our states and territories. You're currently in the state of New South Wales, UNSW. So then we also have our middle section, which is our coat of arms. It shows the two national animals, which you may have heard of, a kangaroo and an emu. The reasons they were chosen for our logo, coat of arms, is that they are two animals that cannot walk backwards, so we're always moving forward in everything that we do as a country. So then I will also talk about the far right, top right one is our national flower. It's the golden wattle. Then at the bottom, you've got our country flag. You can see the Southern Cross stars, which you can see in the Southern Hemisphere. So if you don't have a clear night and you're not quite in the city, you'll be able to see the Southern Cross. Then you also have our national Indigenous flag, which is there. And then the two bottom ones are sporting flags. The boxing kangaroo, like a symbol of our sporting prowess in Australia. Right. So I'll quickly talk about, obviously you heard we had a welcome to the Indigenous land that you're on. A lot of big sporting events you may go to, and also other formal events, we will recognise that we are on Indigenous land. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders history is a story of over 65,000 years. Country is the Aboriginal English word to describe the land, the waters, and all living things that are connected to country. Aboriginal culture is holistic and defined by its connection to family, community, and country. And in Australia, the idea of being on country is central to the Aboriginal worldview. So First Nations people in Australia are incredibly diverse in their culture and identity, but they've all lived in close relationship with country and are born to live on it, care for it for time immemorial. So, as you may know, the Australian mainstream is generally an Anglo-Celtic Western country with Anglo-Celtic Western customs. However, this description is probably less relevant as we grow as a nation. Our modern social makeup is pretty multicultural. We mostly had migrants from Europe, obviously from the late 1700s, but now we have people arriving from all over the world, Asia, Africa, the Americas. According to the census, 26% of Australian residents were born overseas, and 49% of Australians have at least one parent from overseas. So we have a fairly informal culture and lifestyle. You might be learning about that as you start to acclimatise to Sydney and where you're living. As you may know, we're a big fan of sport in this country. It's part of the shaping of our national identity. And whilst you're here, you should go either watch or try AFL, as you probably have not experienced that as a sport where you live. So it's a sport that originated in Australia. So keep that in mind if you want to go see the Sydney Swans play whilst you're here. So Australians value mateship, the collective, and community building. We're the 6th largest country in the world, yet our population is comparatively small. We've only got about 24 to 25 million people. It makes us the least densely populated landmass in the world. We're pretty urbanised, obviously, in Sydney, but the further out you can go experience regional areas in New South Wales and Australia. We enjoy a high standard of living, and we're a reasonably optimistic outlook kind of country. So we have a common narrative that we are the lucky country because we have a comfortable quality of life for its population for the most part. So we are a country that likes to make words shorter. Keep that in mind. My name is really long, so Philippa, I will always use the nickname Pip because it's just much easier, and you'll find that Australians like to shorten words generally. So, just a few general things to think about when you're here. Again, depending on what country you come from, lots of societal norms will be different. It's pretty common to split bills here with your friends. Again, we are fairly cashless as a society, so a lot of it will be tapping on your phone, but can be with cash as well. We also have rounds. So if you go out for a couple drinks with friends, you might do it round by round. Each person pays for a group of drinks and then the next person follows. Again, depending on where you're from, if you're from a really big city with like lots of shops open late at night, it might be a bit of a change being in Sydney, or you might come from a really small town where not a lot is open. But retail stores are usually open between 9 and 10 a.m. and close around 5 to 6 p.m. And restaurants usually close around 10 to 11 p.m. We have what's called a late night shopping night, which in New South Wales is on a Thursday. It's different in every state and territory, so please keep that in mind. So, next. Again, some new things to try whilst you're here if you've never experienced them before. I'll go through a couple different things, but you may or may not have heard of Tim Tams, which is our national biscuit. Everybody should go to a Woolworths or Coles to grab one. For the UK students, it's a bit like a penguin. Then we also have a Lamington. This is like a cake that's covered in chocolate and coconut. We have a specialty store in Newtown in the inner west, which only sells different types of lamingtons, so keep that in mind. So then you'll also see we love a barbecue, especially during the summer months. You might get to experience that or host your own. We have different types of meat, including kangaroo. Yes, you can eat one of the animals of our coat of arms. It's a highly lean protein. It's really popular. You can get it in all different forms, so please don't be scared of trying it. We also have Vegemite, which again you may have heard of. It's a yeast spread. It's quite salty, so don't go too heavy on that on your toast. We then also have fairy bread. It's a children's food, but again, you could go try it if you want. It's white bread, butter, hundreds and thousands. It's a staple of every Australian kid's childhood. So now we're going to go to something a bit less fun, but really incredibly important. Obviously, whilst you're here over the summer and you want to go to the beach, you want to go swimming. But again, depending on how strong of a swimmer you are, you really need to consider your safety. So where possible, swim at a patrolled beach between the red and yellow flags. Obey the safety signs of the beach, learn how to identify a rip current and how to look for rip currents before you go into the water. If you're not sure and if you're not a confident swimmer, ask a lifeguard if they're there on the beach about the beach conditions. And if you do go out on a boat while you're here, wear a life jacket. They are also a requirement when you're out on boats. And if you go paddling or fishing, they are also a requirement. Don't go into the ocean when there is severe weather and any kind of severe weather warnings. Take personal responsibility for yourself and your friends and think twice before you enter the water. So now we're just going to watch a super quick video on beach safety.
Every overseas tourist should know about it because there's something that can get you into trouble. I'm Dr. Rob Brander from the University of New South Wales, and I'm a surf scientist and surf lifesaver. During the summer months in Australia, on average, somebody drowns in a rip every 2 or 3 days, and most of the thousands of rescues that happen on our beaches are related to rips. Remember that it only takes about a minute to drown, so it's very important to be able to spot rips on your own. Now, if you haven't noticed, I've been swimming between the flags, and that's where everybody should swim because the lifesavers and the lifeguards put the flags in the safest part of the beach away from the rips. And if you don't know what a rip is, if you swim between the flags, that takes a lot of the guesswork out of having to spot one. However, of the more than 11,000 beaches in Australia, only 3% are actually patrolled by surf lifesavers and lifeguards. And that means there's a lot of beaches and a lot of rips that you could easily get into trouble in. Well, what are rips? It's a really good question. And what we do is we throw purple dye, which is harmless, into the water. The dye goes wherever the water goes, and it's an easy way to spot the rip. Well, let me tell you what rips are not. They're not undertow. They won't pull you under because there's no such thing as an undertow. They're not rip tides because they're not a tide. They're a current. They flow pretty steady, and they won't take you to New Zealand. Basically, rips are strong, narrow currents that flow from the shoreline through the surf zone and offshore. They exist to take all the breaking water that's piling up on the beach back out to sea. Here you see a nice green gap, almost like a road going through the surf. And that's the rip current because it's sitting in a deeper channel, in this case, between the reef and the sandbar. But look at it, there's no waves breaking, there's hardly any white water. Whereas you look to the right, you've got your sandbar, shallow water, waves are breaking there, bringing all that water in and back out through the rip. It looks perfect, and that's how you spot it. It's a pretty scary experience getting stuck in a rip, and there's definitely some do's and don'ts about how you should behave if you do find yourself caught in one. The main thing is not to panic. Don't panic because the rip will not pull you under the water. All the rip will do will take you further out to sea and it'll sometimes bring you back. Remember that you've got air in your lungs, you float, you're very buoyant, so don't panic. The second thing to do is if you're not a particularly good swimmer, put your hand up, straight up like that, signals for the lifeguards and the lifesavers to come and get you. What you could also do if you're a good swimmer is you could look around. And if you can see the sides of the rip, which is usually the shallower water where the waves are breaking, a lot of white water, swim towards that area. White water is good because it means it's shallow, you can maybe stand up, and also white water brings you back to the beach. What you should never do is swim against the rip. These things flow pretty fast, and you'll just find yourselves going backwards, swimming faster, getting tired, and then you'll start to get scared. So just go with the flow, signal for the lifeguard, or let the rip take you around and get out of it yourself. One of the reasons that rips are dangerous is that they flow faster than people can swim, and sometimes they can flow faster than even Olympic swimmers. Rips are most dangerous because they actually look like the safest place to swim. A view from a headland is always a good way to spot a rip because you're up high and you're looking down at the beach and they're a lot easier to see. And often surfers and swimmers will check out the beach for rips before they go down in the water. Not all rips are the same. The most common type is what we call a fixed rip. And fixed rips are stuck between sandbars and they might stay in the same place for days, weeks, and even months. Well, we've just had an example of a flash rip where all of a sudden the rip is pulsed out. Where those surfers are, you can see the chopped up, messy white water that's just gone out, and then it's just stopped. And that's one common thing about these flash rips is that they can suddenly occur anywhere where there's suddenly been a large group of waves breaking, and it pushes the rip out, and then it disappears. Finally, we get something called a permanent rip, or a headland rip. And these are rips that are pushed against the headland, and they're there almost all the time. So it's another good reason to always be careful when you're swimming close to headlands and rocks. If there's no lifeguards or flags on a beach, the simple rule is don't go in. If you do go in, make sure you're an experienced swimmer or surfer, make sure you're always with somebody, and make sure you know how to spot rips.
All right, thanks everybody for that. Now we're going to have our presenter, Steph, who is from ARC, to tell you all about the cool stuff that you can do whilst you're here at UNSW. Thanks, guys.
Hello team, how are we all today? Okay, we'll get your energy up, don't you worry. Hello, my name is Steph, my pronouns are she, her, and I am here to tell you all about ARC. What is ARC? It is your student life organisation. So we do everything outside of the classroom. Our mission is to create the best student experience, and that is what I am here to tell you about today. But before I get into all of the incredible things that we do, the long list from clubs, events, sport, volunteering, wellness, help, and heaps more, I have a challenge for you. And the challenge is to say g'day. So, what I want you to do is turn to the person next to you in a moment, introduce yourself, what's your name, what are you studying, where are you from? You're gonna have 30 seconds and you have to promise to give your attention back. Go. All right, slowly when you can, attention back to me. I know it's hard, we do this every time. Back to the front, legends, back to the front. Hands on heads if you're a legend and are listening to me, and yes, legends at the back. Absolute legends, this corner is doing a trash job. Thank you, guys. I'm not seeing a lot of hands on heads. top class down here, top class. All right. I love that you were passionate about making friends. This could be, attention guys, I'm loving the energy, but I need to tell you more stuff. You will have time at the end to then go and actually talk to your friend more. This might be the first person that you have spoken to at UNSW or the first friend that you've made. So also don't forget, swap socials, get in touch, stay in touch. And I'm going to tell you all of the amazing ways that you guys are going to stay friends and you're going to make more friends while you're at campus. Amazing. So the first thing I'm going to tell you about is clubs and societies. At ARC, we have over 300 different clubs and societies. You technically can join all of them, but I'm going to suggest you join 3. The first one is your faculty one. So this is a really good place to stay in the loop about what's happening within your faculty, the study stuff, meeting people who are doing the same thing. I love the amount of talking, but I would just love to keep that to a minimum. Attention to me. Thank you so much. Your faculty one. The second club you're going to join is something that you already love, something you're passionate about. Maybe it is a hobby, maybe it's a sport, something that you love doing. And the third one you're going to join is something brand new. It's the Wild Card Club. So join something that sounds a bit chaotic, a bit of fun, something maybe you've always wanted to do but never given a hot shot. So that is what clubs are for. The second thing is sport. Who plays a sport? Oh yeah, solid. Who doesn't play a sport but is keen to try? Yeah, okay, well, I tried. For those people that are into sport or want to get involved in some sport, there are 39 different sporting clubs at ARC. From rugby to underwater rugby, there truly is something for everyone. So what, I know, underwater rugby, you will find out about it, I promise. There are so many different ways for you to get involved in sport, whether it is competitively, if you are someone that does play, or if it is just a way to make some friends, have some fun, and look after both your body and your brain. Sport is an incredible place to do it. The next thing is about getting involved. So we have these things that we call student programs, and those programs are essentially ways for you to have fun, meet people, gain skills, and give back. So you can either choose to volunteer, to give back to community, local not-for-profits, give back to the planet as well, but we also have opportunities for you to just get involved in all of the fun stuff that these awesome volunteers put on. So absolutely, while you're here, get involved. And of course, we're going to talk about wellness because your mental health is so, so important to us. We want to make sure that you are looking after yourself, that you have the skills and tools to do it. Guys, I'm going to ask for your attention one more time back to the front. I'm so sorry, I'm not trying to... Legend, thanks David. I'm not trying to be a teacher, but I do want you to know this stuff so you can have the best possible time. So mental health, it's important. We do a lot of things, events. Yes, we bring alpacas and puppies onto campus. Yes, we do also have a whole lot of resources, whether they be in person or whether they're digital ones as well. So if you ever do need support, ARC Wellness is a good place to start and we can help you figure out where you can go. Of course, help doesn't just mean mental health help, it can mean heaps of other things. And something I want to tell you about is Food Hub. Has anyone heard of Food Hub? Not yet, I get to tell you how exciting. So a lot of your campuses back home will probably have something like Food Hub. It's a food pantry. But when we think pantry, we're actually thinking mini grocery store. It's open 3 times a week for you to be able to go, get free food, fresh produce, dairy products, and we always have so much sourdough. So go get your bougie sourdough and your bougie avocados and have your avocado toast. Food Hub is truly the best thing for you to know about to make sure that you get access to food, but also it's a big thing about food waste and sustainability, and we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep food out of landfill, so help us out to do that. And of course, there is so much more that I could tell you about. ARC does so much more. I could stand here for hours, but unfortunately I can't. So if it's trips and tours, look up something called Funner Summer. We have free stationery, bike services, room hire. You name it, we probably do it. So make sure to check us out and see all of the cool things we do. 2 things I'm going to flag with you. 1, O Week. Do we all know what O Week is? Thank you. Legends. Do we all know when O Week is? Yes, incredible. So, O Week is awesome. ARC runs the biggest one in the Southern Hemisphere. It's a really awesome week, so much free stuff. Just plan to have like your arms full of tote bags full of free stuff. That is the energy that our O Week has. So make sure to come to O Week to figure out what you're going to do, to meet the clubs and societies, to talk about getting involved, to sign up to a sport. But I also know that O Week can be a bit daunting, especially if you don't know someone, you're coming here by yourself. So we have a very cool thing called Great Mates. And it's a program that meets the week before O Week, and we just have fun times, free food, maybe a free drink as well, down at the Roundhouse Beer Garden. And it's just a chance for you to meet someone to then go to O Week with and to experience your uni life with. So I would absolutely recommend Great Mates too. It'll be on our website and our socials. But that is all the time I have for. What you need to do is join ARC. It is free to join, obviously, and that means you get access to all of the awesome stuff that we do, all of the free stuff, all of the fun times, and all of the support as well. It's a short form, you don't have to do it right now, but it's there if you need to. Otherwise, I really do hope that you have the best time while you're here, that you get to find your thing, and that you really do get the most out of your time at UNSW. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steph. I've got a little stop for Q&A because in the registration link for the orientation today, they asked you guys if you had questions. Most of them were answered by the slides, so we're not going to dwell on it too long. But before I hit this, that heaps more slide, I don't know if I just want to go back a couple. Yeah, those trips and tours, historically, guys, our study abroad and exchange cohorts have had an incredible time with this. They do some that are just sort of like one-offs through the week. They do longer ones that are for a whole weekend to get more substantial. And if you're really into like seeing all of what New South Wales and even sort of interstate spaces have to offer, this is a really great and affordable way to do it while also connecting with Australian students as well. So I just want to flag that one more before we go. Right, so I'm not allowed to give advice about immigration and citizenship. It's against the law in Australia unless you are a lawyer or you are the Department of Home Affairs or a couple of other very small categories. But you can just go to the Home Affairs website and find a lot of really cool information about what your rights and obligations are under your student visa. During when the world was upside down, there were no, like all the working limits were removed from student visas, but I think those have come back in middle of last year. Again, that's not legal advice. Do check for sure what your visa obligations are. I think that you guys can now work 40 hours a fortnight without falling afoul of your visa obligations. So that was one question that we had, was can I work? Another is, does UNSW have a meal plan? We don't, but we do have like, I don't know, 30 to 50 retail business outlets all around campus and a full grocery store where you guys can get all the food that you need. Destinations close to Sydney, that's a classic. We've just rattled off a few of them there. I always like to push the Featherdale Wildlife Park. If you want to see like all the really classic Australian flora and fauna, it's wonderful. It's not so far away. Just get together and rent a car amongst a group of 4 or whatever and then pop out to it. You will have to go a little bit further if you want to hold a koala, because that is not legal in New South Wales. You'll have to go to Queensland if you want to hold a koala. One thing the Queenslanders have on us is koala holding. And then, yeah, South Coast as well. Everybody goes to these northern beaches and Central Coast, and they talk a lot about it. I'm a big fan of South Coast. I've got Shane over here who really hails about the South Coast as well. Incredible beaches down there as well. And then I want to flag that we're having a barbecue next week on Tuesday. It's going to be from 4 to 6 on Tuesday at the Roundhouse, and tomorrow we're going to send you guys the registration link about that. And included is going to be a game of human bingo. I don't know if anybody's ever done human bingo before, but it's just sort of a way to meet people. And the first 10 people who bring a blackout bingo card completed are going to get a UNSW hoodie from us if they hand it in. All right, so make sure that you register. Delicious food, great opportunity to meet people. And that's all we got. This is the last slide, guys. Thank you so much. Have an incredible rest of your day. Welcome to Australia. Head back to the beach.